So, what if I told you that getting a new follower today could actually be like the worst thing to happen to your digital footprint?
I mean, it sounds totally backwards.
Right.
Right.
Because, you open up a social media app, you see that little notification bubble, and you feel that very specific, very universal rush.
Oh, absolutely. That dopamine hit is just hardwired into how we experience audience growth.
Exactly. Like it feels like validation. But behind the scenes, that growing number might actually be a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. People just assume a new follower is a net positive or, at worst, completely neutral. We tend to view our audience as just this static room of listeners.
And breaking down that exact assumption is really our mission for this deep dive.
Hmm.
Because today we are looking at a comprehensive and honestly really eye-opening guide from Circleboom,
Yeah, the guide is titled, Can Having Fake Followers Get My Account Suspended on X?
which is such a massive question. So we're going to uncover the hidden structural dangers of fake followers on the platform formerly known as Twitter. So, okay, let's unpack this. Because there is a massive central misconception we just need to clear up right away.
There really is, yeah.
People tend to think of fake followers as like a passive problem. Like they're just sitting there in your audience gathering dust and doing absolutely nothing.
Right, and that passive mindset just fundamentally misunderstands how modern social media architecture actually operates.
It's not passive at all.
Not in the slightest. X's automated systems are incredibly active. They are hunting for what the platform defines as artificial audience inflation.
So this isn't just about vanity metrics anymore.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It used to be about an account just looking artificially popular to a casual observer, but now we are talking about the survival of the account itself. When the system detects inflation, the consequences are immediate.
Wow. Okay, so to visualize this, I was thinking, imagine you're hosting this massive networking event,
Right.
right?
I'm with you.
You rent out this premium venue and you want it to look like the absolute party of the year. So you fill half the room with mannequins.
Right, just totally fake guests.
Yeah. And from the outside, like looking through the window, the venue looks packed to the brim. It looks like a huge success, but inside, it's totally dead.
Nobody's talking.
Exactly. Nobody is exchanging business cards. Nobody is touching the appetizers. It's literally just you on a bunch of plastic.
That visual is actually perfect for the algorithmic reality because the automated systems, they do not see a successful party.
They just see the plastic.
Yeah, they just see dead weight. And more importantly, they view the presence of those mannequins as a direct violation of platform integrity.
But wait, I have a hard time believing X would just drop the hammer over a few spam accounts hanging out in the background. I mean, don't they issue warnings first?
You would certainly hope so, right?
Yeah, like give me a shadow ban or a notification before you move to a total account deletion.
Well, the source material is explicitly clear on this. X does not always warn you before it acts.
Seriously, no warning at all.
Seriously. A user could be logging in on a Tuesday, everything feels perfectly fine, they're posting as usual, and then by Wednesday morning, their account is flagged, their reach is severely limited, or worse, the account is permanently suspended.
Just completely gone, like no probationary period or anything.
Gone entirely, especially in severe cases. If the automated systems detect strong, consistent signals of artificial inflation,
Which means what exactly?
like particularly if your followers are digitally tied to known purchase follower services, that triggers an immediate permanent suspension.
Oh, wow.
And the guide notes that there is no guaranteed appeals process to restore an account in this situation. It is not, a negotiation with customer service.
That is just a terrifying level of automated control.
It really forces a perspective shift. And if we connect this to the broader context of the platform, the guide points out something really crucial.
What's that?
Since X changed ownership, the rules around artificial amplification are being enforced with significantly less leniency,
So they're cracking down harder.
much harder. The threshold for what triggers an automated ban has completely shifted. Behavior or, follower anomalies that might have flown completely under the radar just a few years ago are now front and center for their enforcement sweeps.
So the algorithm is essentially walking around the venue, checking pulses, and if it finds too many mannequins, it just burns the entire building down.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so the guide outlines a few ways these mannequins actually get in. And the first one is pretty obvious, right? Buying followers.
All right, the deliberate route.
You buy the bots, you bring them in the front door in broad daylight, you get caught. That makes total sense to me. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
What if you never bought a single follower in your life? I mean, what surprised me in the source material is how many accounts are entirely innocent. Am I still at risk if I didn't do anything wrong?
That dynamic is exactly what trips most people up.
Yeah.
Because the guide makes a vital distinction here. Yes, a small percentage of users deliberately purchase followers.
And that creates a huge spike,
Right.
right?
It's exactly a massive, sudden spike in audience size.
Yeah.
And Twitter's systems are specifically trained to detect that exact anomaly. Those purchased accounts are usually linked to known bot networks,
Making them easy to track.
instantly traceable. But the vast majority of accounts with fake followers didn't set out to get them. They accumulated them through routes that require absolutely zero deliberate action.
Right. And one of the routes that really stood out to me was the idea that going viral actually hurts you.
It's so counterintuitive.
It really is. It feels like the punishment of success. You make a great post and you get swarmed by bots.
Yeah, it's a structural flaw of the whole ecosystem. Because when a post takes off and goes viral, it reaches audiences way outside your normal organic network.
Right.
But lurking in that broader platform-wide audience are automated accounts designed specifically to latch onto trending or high engagement content.
So they just auto-follow anyone who gets popular.
Exactly. They are programmed to follow anyone who gains sudden traction. You didn't ask for them, you certainly didn't pay for them, but because you made a highly engaging post, a wave of bots just arrived at your door.
It's incredible to think that achieving the exact thing social media encourages, like making popular content, actually makes your account more vulnerable.
It really does.
I also noticed the source mentions follow-for-follow schemes as a major culprit.
Oh yeah, those are huge bot magnets.
People join these trains thinking it's this harmless grassroots way to grow, but it turns out those networks act like massive magnets for automated spam.
Because you end up tethered to hundreds of accounts you don't know, have never interacted with, and have zero control over. But you know what's fascinating here is that another entirely passive route the guide details.
The scraper bot economy, right. I want to dig into that because scraper bots sound a little different than your standard spam account trying to sell crypto.
They operate with a completely different objective. Scraper bots aren't even pretending to be real followers who might like or repost your content.
So what are they doing?
They are automated programs that follow profiles in bulk just to harvest data.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they might be building massive marketing lists, testing platform engagement metrics, or feeding data into other automated systems. They're essentially data collection tools wearing the mask of a human account.
Just sweeping through the internet, harvesting parts.
Pretty much.
And I imagine just the sheer lifespan of an account plays a role here, too. Like, if you've been on the platform for 10 years, you're going to naturally accumulate some digital barnacles.
Absolutely. Time is the great equalizer here. Over the years, every single active account naturally accumulates a proportion of fake or bot followers simply by existing in this space.
Yeah, it's just inevitable.
It's a natural byproduct of how the bot ecosystem operates. But what's critical to understand is that X's automated enforcement systems don't always care how the bots got there.
Wait, really? So it's literally just guilt by association?
Precisely. While actively buying followers is a deliberate, highly punishable offense, you can still get caught in the crossfire of platform enforcement sweeps just by being the recipient of follows from a coordinated bot network.
Even if you did nothing.
Right. If X decides to purge a massive network of inauthentic behavior, and your account is heavily associated with that network, even passively, you can face algorithm restrictions.
So if the automated systems are indiscriminately sweeping for these bot networks, ignoring the mannequins isn't just a missed opportunity, it's actively poisoning your account's algorithmic health.
Poisoning is the right word.
Let's say you're lucky. You don't get terminally suspended. It is still absolutely not fine to just let the scraper bots and the viral chasing bots hang out in your follower count.
No, it is not. Even without a suspension, these silent killers do consistent, measurable damage to your account in the background.
I sort of look at it like a corrupted variable in a science experiment.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, imagine you are in a lab trying to measure the delicate reaction between chemical A and chemical B. But someone dropped a handful of chalk dust into the beaker when you weren't looking.
That would ruin everything.
Right. Suddenly, all your data is garbage. You cannot trust a single result you're seeing because the baseline is totally contaminated.
That corrupted variable is the perfect way to understand what the industry calls engagement rate collapse.
Engagement rate collapsed.
Yeah, it goes much deeper than just having an embarrassing ratio of followers to likes. X's entire algorithm relies on your engagement rate as its primary quality trigger.
So how does that mechanism actually work under the hood? Like, how does a quiet bot destroy my reach?
It comes down to how content is distributed. When you publish a post, X's algorithm doesn't immediately show it to all 10,000 of your
Oh, it
followers.
doesn't.
No, it tests the post on a small initial cohort, a sample size of your audience. The algorithm watches that cohort. If they like, reply, or repost, the algorithm assumes the content is high quality and pushes it to a wider group.
Ah, I see where this is going. If my test cohort is full of mannequins.
Then the post dies in the crib. Fake followers, by definition, do not engage.
Yeah.
They follow you and then they disappear to the ether.
Right.
So if the algorithm pushes your new post to a test cohort that is 80% dead bots, nobody clicks. Nobody replies.
And the algorithm doesn't know they're bots.
Exactly. The algorithm doesn't think, oh, this user has a bot problem. The algorithm concludes, this content is terrible. Even their own audience refuses to engage with it.
So it responds by actively reducing your organic reach.
Yeah.
It essentially shadow bans your content, hiding your posts even from the genuine, real people who actually want to see your stuff. The mannequins aren't just taking up space, they're actively blocking the real guests from seeing the host.
And that algorithmic penalty cascades into every single aspect of your account.
Yeah.
The source material outlines a massive fallout radius.
Like what?
Well, first, going back to your corrupted variable analogy, your analytics become completely useless. If you are a business or a creator, you rely on impression rates, click-through rates, conversion metrics.
Sure, you need that data.
Right. But if your total audience size is artificially inflated by thousands of non-human accounts, none of those metrics reflect reality.
You're just flying blind. You might think your new marketing campaign totally failed, but really, the algorithm just pitched it to a room full of robots who are never going to buy your product anyway.
Exactly. Second, it causes severe credibility damage. If you are trying to build a personal brand, find collaborators, or secure external sponsorships, the very first thing partners analyze is your engagement rate.
Which makes sense.
A massive follower count paired with abysmal interaction is the biggest red flag in the industry. It raises immediate, uncomfortable questions about your integrity and the methods you use to build that audience.
Because nobody wants to sponsor a party full of mannequins.
No one.
And I imagine this hits even harder if you were trying to use X's built-in monetization features, right?
It absolutely does. X has incredibly strict quality checks for its creator programs and ad revenue sharing. Having a high percentage of fake followers will disqualify you from earning money on the platform.
So you get locked out.
Yeah. You might meet the 500 follower threshold on paper, but once the system audits your account quality, your application is denied.
Man, and what if you are on the other side of the transaction? What if you are literally paying X to promote your content through ads?
That is perhaps the most direct financial hit. If your audience is polluted with bots, your promoted content dollars are being thrown into a void.
Just wasted.
Completely wasted. You are paying for impressions that are being served to empty automated accounts. Those are wasted ad dollars that will never convert into actual customers or genuine followers.
So if you're listening to this and you're sitting here realizing your follower count might be heavily padded with scrapers and bots, how do you actually find them before the algorithm nukes your account?
That's the real challenge.
Because we've established these bots are sophisticated. They mimic real behavior, they hide in plain sight. You can't just scroll through your followers and spot them all manually.
Spotting them manually is practically impossible at scale. You need a specialized tool. The guide details how Circleboom Twitter solves this problem. And the most critical detail to understand here is that Circleboom operates as an official X enterprise developer.
Why does that specific title matter so much? Because there are tons of apps out there.
Because the internet is absolutely flooded with sketchy third-party apps that promise to, clean your followers fast.
Right.
But many of those applications use a technique called screen scraping, or they ask you to hand over your actual account password.
Which sounds like a massive security risk to begin with.
It is, but it's also a huge algorithmic risk. Think of screen scraping like a rogue robot breaking through your front window, running around the party counting your guests and reading your guest book.
That sounds chaotic.
It is. And X's security systems will instantly detect that unauthorized breach and likely suspend your account just for using the tool.
Oh, wow. So you get banned for trying to fix the ban problem.
Exactly. But an enterprise API connection, which is what Circleboom uses, is entirely different. It is like giving a background-checked, officially sanctioned vendor a temporary key card to the front door.
I see.
X knows exactly who they are and what they're doing. It is verified, compliant access.
That makes total sense. You don't want the security guard to tackle your event planner.
Right.
So once Circleboom has that official API keycard, how does it actually know who is a mannequin and who is just a real person who prefers to be quiet on the platform? Because a lot of real people just lurk.
That's a great point. It uses a comprehensive detection matrix.
Yeah.
It doesn't rely on just one single red flag.
Okay.
Circleboom's system evaluates accounts based on a combination of specific behavioral criteria. They look for obvious things like a lack of a profile photo or usernames that look like a random string of numbers.
The classic bot look.
But they also look at algorithmic signals. Like, is their follower-to-following ratio wildly disproportionate? Do they have a suspiciously low tweet frequency or years of total inactivity?
So it's basically building a profile of a bot based on how it acts or fails to act.
Exactly. It even analyzes account age and whether the account was created in a bulk batch alongside thousands of others.
Oh, like a bot farm.
Right, a classic footprint of a bot farm. It processes all these signals and services the highly suspicious accounts in a filtered dashboard. It doesn't blindly delete anything. It presents the data so you can verify it.
And having looked at the interface they describe in the source, the user experience seems incredibly streamlined. I mean, if you have 50,000 followers, you cannot manually check every single profile's creation date.
No, it could take weeks.
Yeah. But with Circleboom, you navigate to the fake bot followers menu, and the matrix does the heavy lifting. You can filter the results, isolate the accounts that have been completely inactive, or sort by verification status. You turn a massive invisible data problem into a manageable checklist.
And the removal process itself is where the tool provides the most leverage.
Right, because you aren't forced to click remove one by one.
Thankfully, no.
You can select the flagged accounts in bulk and use their Circleboom remove Twitter/X followers Chrome extension to sweep them all out. You click the button and it starts cleaning the house for you. But the source material includes a massive red flashing light technical warning about this exact step.
Yes, this is a vital mechanical detail for anyone using the tool. When you initiate that bulk removal, the processing happens through that Chrome extension you installed.
Okay.
Once you click Start, the tool begins sequentially removing those followers in the background, utilizing that official API connection we discussed. During this process, you absolutely cannot close your Chrome browser, and you cannot close the Circleboom tab.
So do not touch the dial while the machine is working?
Definitely not. If you close the tab or exit the browser, the background process instantly loses its connection to the API. The bulk removal process will completely stop dead in its tracks.
Just freeze entirely.
Yep. You have to leave the window open and let the system run its full course to effectively prune the account.
That is such a great technical tip. It's doing heavy computational lifting. You can't just unplug it halfway through. So, bringing all of this together, the era of treating fake followers as harmless ego padding is completely over.
It's done.
Whether you actively bought them in a moment of weakness or they quietly attach themselves to your account after a viral tweet, they are an active, compounding liability.
Without a doubt.
They are destroying your engagement rate by failing the algorithm's cohort tests. They are confusing your analytics, draining your ad budget, and honestly, putting your entire digital footprint at risk of being permanently deleted by a ruthless automated system.
They represent a fundamental structural threat to the health and longevity of your account.
But the good news is, you aren't helpless. By utilizing compliant, API-verified tools like Circleboom, you can proactively audit your audience. You can isolate the scraper bots, you can remove the mannequins, and you can actually protect the community you've worked so hard to build.
It ultimately comes down to taking active ownership of your digital space. But, if we pull back and look at the broader implications of this whole ecosystem, it leaves me with a rather provocative thought.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Well, we are analyzing a system where social media platforms are increasingly punishing human users for the automated actions of bots that those users never even asked for.
Right.
It forces a fundamental change in how we exist online. Are we entering an era where simply maintaining a digital identity requires constant defensive weed pulling? Have we reached a point where we have to continuously audit our own audiences just to prove to a machine algorithm that we are, in fact, real people?
It is super crazy to think about. You look down at your phone, you see that follower count tick up, and instead of just celebrating, you realize you have to go check the door to see if it's a real guest or just another mannequin. So you out there listening, keep a close eye on those numbers and keep your audience real.